Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 4 of the 2022 Big Blue Button World Conference. Today is the last day of our conference this year. My name is Jess, and I'll be the moderator for this session. I'm really excited to introduce Roland, Alton, and Martin Klampffer. They're from Fairkom, and today they will be talking about the journey, challenges, and findings of trying to improve the experience of the Big Blue Button chat. So leave your questions and comments in the chat throughout the presentation, and they'll get to them at the end. Thank you.
Thank you for having us at the Big Blue Button World Conference this year. Fairkom is an open source consultancy company. We have some kind of a lab established already last year. We call it the Fair Blue Lab, where we do the Big Blue Button developments. Last year we have been presenting translation tool, and today we will be presenting our integration trials with different chat solutions. We are certainly also a member of the European Big Blue Button Association, so we are one of those pins, and we are located in the Alps in Austria, here in Dornbirn, and Martin is in Innsbruck. And this is the largest lake here in Europe, and here is St. Anton for skiing, so it's a quite nice area where we live here. We started already some time ago, and here you see a lot of missed deadlines with the project which we called BBB Secure Chat. So what we wanted to do is investigate ways of improving the chat experience and making it more secure. More secure means that maybe even we can establish an end-to-end encryption. This was one goal, and also to exchange with other protocols and other chat platforms. This research work, and also the proof of concept we are showing today, it has been funded by NLNet, which is a foundation based in the Netherlands, which is supporting open source development. The program is called NGI Zero Discovery, and it's about making the internet more safe and also have a better discoverability. And it seemed our project fit quite well to this to one of these goals. So how did we start? We evaluated various Matrix clients. We had evaluated bridges. There are some bridges already here. There is Metabridge, which is a side project of MetaMost, but you cannot only bridge to MetaMost, which is one of the open source chat tools like XMPP, Zulip, Rocket Chat, and many others. Then there are some projects, even also funded by NLNet, where we have been networking with these people. We certainly have also studied the Big Blue Button architecture, because we had to do it. Dennis and Martin were working on this language translation tool, and so we already knew a little bit how it works and how to best integrate probably a chat bridge here. And finally, after many trials and discussions, we came up with this structure. So Martin, what do you think? What make us, or you finally decide to hook directly into the Redis pub subsystem? What are the advantages of this approach? I think you're muted.
Okay, now you can hear me. Sorry. One advantage is definitely simplicity. We wouldn't have, we didn't have to hook into the UI directly, which is prone to frequent changes. And we could have the scenario that the UI changes and then we have to adapt ours as well. We can circumvent this completely by hooking into Redis.
Yes, so that what we were discussing is either replace the chat in Big Blue Button, but the Big Blue Button chat improved also in the last release, and we didn't want to maintain yet another branch. We already maintain this Fairblue HTML5 thing, which where we have certainly submitted a pull request, but there were always other priorities of the core developers to get our translation tool maintained, and we didn't do that yet in another project. So we are hooking into the place where the chat messages are exchanged internally within BigBlueButton, and no modifications are made on the user interface.
None whatsoever at BigBlueButton. So you can just use a vanilla BigBlueButton instance and have the service running on the same server, and it will work. So you don't have to change BigBlueButton at all.
Okay. This is now our repository. I will shortly present then the links where you can access all this. And here you register for a room. And how does it continue now, the flow of the characters which you exchange with somebody sitting in another matrix channel?
Okay, so it works like this. We have Alice in the BigBlueButton chat and Bob in the matrix chat. And Alice, actually, I need to update this because the command is now bridge instead of register, but it doesn't matter. Alice will enter the command to start a bridge, and the app will determine the meeting ID and the user ID of the BBB meeting and register it, and then connect to the matrix server and forward all messages from BigBlueButton to matrix and vice versa.
Okay, so this is our architecture. It works. So we have a proof of concept where we do then a presentation afterwards. In our project, we are working currently on, there is a little bug where sometimes messages are not shown. And we have been working on, or you have been working on, how to define a room, that you can do this via the command. So you can say then bridge to a certain room. Now it's still hard-coded, and have a pause command.
Configurable, but
yeah, it's configurable. And then add a pause command where you can say, now I do not want to forward these messages. Yeah. So what else?
It's very basic stuff, but as soon as we have that working, we have a proof of concept that is actually a little more usable than having a config file on the server where you have to define the matrix room.
Yeah. So what are the next steps when we will be on which features will you work next, Martin?
I think having it running on a different server would be very important, because now you have to be running the service at the same server that BigBlueButton is running on, and you can only access one BigBlueButton meeting and one matrix room, which is fine for a proof of concept, but of course we have to expand on that, and we need more flexibility. So I think this will be the main points that I'll be working on.
Okay, so that's things we are doing, and here is the link list for all the resources which I will share here in our chat as well. That's not the right one. So use this link list for all our resources. The old research project, and this is the BBM matrix chat proof of concept. You have get the code. How did you realize it? Which programming language did you use, and how do you need to do you deploy that service?
At the moment, it's quite easy. It's written in Node.js, and Nest.js to be exact, and it's using TypeScript. But I'm using that only for that draft. Actually, I'm thinking about using Go for a working version then.
Mm-hmm.
I think the matrix SDK in Go seems to be a little bit more advanced than the one in JavaScript. So this would be a goal in the long run.
We also have been investing certainly in Metabridge and to connect to Metabridge, because if we do that, then we can not only bridge to metrics, but also to many other chat protocols. Here is a list, the list of supported chats which you have. You can then to Telegram, to WhatsApp, XMPP, Zulip, Nextcloud Talk, and again Matrix. And how they do it a little bit, well, they do it a little bit different, or with an additional service in between. If you create in Metabridge a Matrix connector, then Pantaleimon is being you should also add Pantaleimon in order not to get warnings that messages are sent unencrypted, which we currently have with our bridge. What in fact this is doing, it's a man in the middle. It's connecting to Matrix on a secure way, and then insecurely connects to BigBlueButton. Well, it's still secure, but you have the messages which are exchanged in the BigBlueButton chat in the Redis. You have it unencrypted. And this is something we will discuss and try to get some feedback on this issue. Is it really important to have end-to-end encryption? Or is it okay if we do this man-in-the-middle approach? So what is your expectation? So we will be interested in that. But before we are going to discuss, let's do a short presentation, or maybe now you take the screen, Martin.
Yeah.
And yes, we are going to do now a demo.
Okay, I just need to become a presenter. 1 second.
Anton is asking if the matrix is being included in the recording. We are just mirroring to the existing chat, so then it is included in the recording. I already can answer that question.
Okay, do you see my screen?
You see 3 screens, but we can see it, yes?
Yeah, 3 windows. Okay, I'm just starting up the service on the server. I have opened the BigBlueButton room here and the Matrix room on the right. I'm just waiting for the service to start. Okay, so there's only a basic functionality. I will enter bridge start in the BigBlueButton room in the middle. Hopefully that will work then. Yeah, you can see it's messages are appearing on the Matrix chat. Right the other way. That's basically it. You just enter the command and it will hook up to both the BigBlueButton and the Matrix server and just exchange the messages back and forth.
Back and forth, yeah, it's working. So still we have some issues with emojis and the usual stuff we will be looking at now and try to improve this in the next weeks. Yeah, by the way, here, this is my element matrix integrated in Nextcloud. And here I see, I didn't share my screen now. I can see as well, again, the messages. So here they are. On the bottom, these are the 2 messages Martin has sent, and I'm part of this matrix room, and I also can contribute and send back. And he will see it in the chat. Okay, that's it for now. We are in a proof of concept phase. We have not decided yet in which direction we will continue regarding we will migrate to Go. We think we will keep it in the simple way that we have just one service which can be added or even easily very integrated into BigBlueButton as an additional service without any dependencies, and so hopefully upgrade procedures will work smoothly in future. Happy to see now your questions. The chat on BigBlueButton is that small that I need our glasses. So Lars is saying if it's not actually end-to-end encrypted, I think seeing that it's not actually end-to-end encrypted is actually good. I wouldn't hide that.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Probably we simply tell in the Matrix channel that those who participate via BigBlueButton, that this path is not encrypted, and that's it. However, the expectation is that because all messengers, the new messengers, Signal, Telegram, WhatsApp, they support even RocketChat, end-to-end encryption, and Matrix also out of the box. And we would fear that if in the education area, if parents see it's not encrypted, then they would probably mean that every teacher or other pupils or other parents could also read that. So I think we need to be very careful how to communicate that it's not encrypted. Maybe we find a better term here or an introduction into this issue. Sharing files.
End-to-end encryption is something that we are going to have.
Yeah, maybe optional with the same approach like Metabridge is doing. Yeah, exactly.
Of course, optional. Yeah. The possibility should be.
Yeah. What about file sharing? Maria's asking. No, there is no files we can present or make downloadable in the BigBlueButton chat. We are simply using the same user interface, and as long as there is no file exchange within the BigBlueButton chat, we cannot mirror those files. If there is file handling and exchange on the roadmap, which I'm not aware of for the chat, then we certainly could also mirror these files. So then Fred is asking a question on yes, we have seen this and have been looking at their experience. And in fact, we have been following a quite similar approach, but hooking into the Redis is probably also more convenient for us and also more performance.
Yeah, exactly. This is one thing that we wanted to avoid, to have to hack into the UI and replace stuff there, because it's just changing frequently, and the safer approach was to hook into Redis.
Yeah, in fact, that was taking our first year's time testing SDKs which we could integrate into BigBlueButton and replace the chat. But we know how much effort it is to maintain such a branch, and I would have thought that getting that upstream would be probably long discussions and also might have some side effects we haven't thought about.
There's another question. Lars said, maybe I missed that. Is the long-term idea to have one matrix room for every session or for every BBB room? I think that is up to you. Our goal would be to have an any number of matrix rooms combined with any number of BBB rooms. The user can define that actually, which rooms should be bridged to each other.
I think the question from Fred is React SDK. That's exactly what we also have been looking at various SDKs. And yes, this would have been the other approach by completely replacing the chat module within BigBlueButton. So Lars is again asking the long-term idea. Okay, you answered that already. And Andreas is saying that they integrated BBB into Element. Yes, you can do that as a widget, for example, so that you can start the BBB meeting in your matrix room. And that's exactly a use case where you then say, if you're in this meeting, bridge to that room, which we could hand over with some with the room name itself, and then these two would be mirrored. That's certainly another use case. Okay, meanwhile, if you want to know more about what we do, so we do a lot of open source things. We usually rebrand them, share something so that people can remember them. You can follow us on Twitter or also on Mastodon. And oops, yeah, and that's our German homepage. And I will add some more links here. I pasted this in the chat. You can test this. We have a development server, but don't expect that to be always up and running. And we may shut down this.
Just one thing from me, it's on staging, not on dev.
Ah, okay.
Dev is currently, I'm working on something else.
Okay.
So on staging, that should be an instance that is normally working, and the dev server is for development, so it doesn't work half the time.
Yeah, thank you again to NLNet, which was funding part of the work, and also to many colleagues and the other people who were also motivating us to continue on this project, as it was really difficult to find a way for us how to integrate it well. And I think this lightweight approach is probably the best way now to do that. So we can work independently and simply hook into the BigBlueButton service.
Actually, I found that tip on an issue on GitHub. Some guy made a suggestion to hook into Redis. So it's not me that came up with the idea, but some other guy. I will put the link into here as well.
Okay, thank you very much for having us, and heading then over to the next presentations.
Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you both so much for this presentation. This was super fascinating, and thank you so much. And Roland, this is your second year here, so fantastic. We love seeing people from the BigBlueButton community come back, year after year to present at this conference. So yes, the next session is starting in about 5 minutes. I will post the link for that session in the chat, and That session is about hacking the Canvas UI for a better BigBlueButton integration. So the link for that is in the chat.